New South Wales goes to the polls on March 25, and early in the election campaign, major education promises were delivered by the major parties. It's shaping up to be a major election issue and is causing significant disagreement. To debate the main education announcements and issues is New South Wales Education Minister Sarah Mitchell and Shadow Education Minister Prue Carr. Thank you so much for coming into the studio and doing this. I know it's a Sunday. I'm going to address you both as Sarah and Prue, so I hope that's okay, just to make things easier.
Totally fine.
Yes.
I'm going to ask a few questions to start, and then we might get you to ask each other a couple of questions as well a little bit later. So does that all sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll start with probably the most important thing, which is education standards in New South Wales at the moment. And bear with me because I'm just going to read some statistics that I've got here. So before COVID, so this is data up to 2019, Australian students recorded their worst results in international tests, failing for the first time to exceed the OECD average in maths, while also tumbling down global rankings in reading and science. New South Wales recorded the biggest drop in both reading and science since Program for International Student Assessment tests began in the early 2000s. Just over half of New South Wales students from that latest round of testing before COVID could demonstrate more than elementary skills in maths. NAPLAN numeracy tests before COVID indicate students in New South Wales were flatlining at best. First to Sarah, then to Prue. Why should mums and dads in New South Wales trust your government? And to be fair, you've been Education Minister from 2019, and that's basically where this data ended. But your government has been in power for 12 years now. Why should mums and dads in New South Wales trust your government with the education of their child?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why, Kenny, and a lot of that data that you're referring to is very old. The last PISA assessment was actually in 2018. So I think it's important that you take that into consideration. And when you look at things like NAPLAN, New South Wales is actually above the national average in every domain. We're amongst the top 3 performing states. So I think you've got to be realistic here about how we are tracking. The fact is our government has put record investment into schools. We have more teachers than ever before. We've got more school funding, and we've been delivering the biggest curriculum reform in a generation, which is starting to roll out in schools now. That real focus on literacy and numeracy from the very beginning, bringing in things like phonics, making sure that we work with our school communities to get better outcomes. And I think our teachers and students work hard every day. We are a government with a long-term economic plan to be able to support school funding, and that's why we'll be able to deliver better outcomes. OK,
we'll get to teachers in just a moment, but do you disagree with the fact that New South Wales, and to be fair, this is an Australian problem as well, is going backwards in education in terms of
I don't, because I see what happens in our school communities every day. I see the data from, as I said, NAPLAN results which show that we are amongst the highest performers when you look at other state jurisdictions. And you can't underestimate our reforms when it comes to the curriculum. You've never had a full-scale rollout of more of a streamlined curriculum, a real focus on the basics that our government has delivered. Now, it takes time to do that. We've been working on that over the last 4 years. It'll be implemented starting this year, and it will make a difference when it comes to student outcomes. OK,
Prue, what's your response?
Yeah, well, Kenny, I think mums and dads know this to be true, and they're really concerned, and people tell me all the time they're really concerned about education outcomes, and that PISA testing, that international testing is really concerning, and it was before COVID, and we know that COVID only made a bad situation worse in New South Wales. I think that there are some really key structural issues why we're in this position. The chronic teacher shortage is something that every parent in New South Wales knows to be true. So to hear the Minister for Education say we've got more teachers than ever before, you can only pick and choose your own numbers to a certain point, can you? Like, parents know when their kids come home saying that their teacher didn't have a teacher in their classroom. There was minimal supervision. They were supervised on the classroom. That has an effect. And the effect that that's having are these results that we've also seen in NAPLAN. The actual Year 9 boys, literacy was very concerning as well. So it's not just PISA testing. And I mean, my point to the people of New South Wales, particularly to the parents that are concerned about this, all parents of New South Wales, is that this government has been in for 12 years. They're asking for a second decade. They've had their chance to do something about this, and it's only going backward.